Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic coffee and conversations with Cheryl. As you can see, I have my coffee and I am super excited to welcome our next guest to the conversation. And as always, I'd like to give a little bit of background about why I started these conversations virtually. Over the last couple of years, I have always done these intentional conversations in the community with a lot of different people. Usually it's a one-on-one conversation, sometimes it's a group conversation. And it's just that. It's a conversation to talk about what's going on, what's happening, how can I support, because if you know me, you know I love supporting my Black women especially, and today is no different. So today I am super excited and super honored to welcome my friend and new author, Cameo Bobo, to the conversation. Miss Cameo, welcome to the conversation. And go ahead and tell us a little bit about Cameo Bobo, the author of Best Life Formula. And if you can't see this book, I apologize, but I have read this book from cover to cover. So Cameo, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be here today with you guys on Coffee and Conversations. This is an awesome platform, and I'm so proud of you and all that you've been doing. Hi, everyone. My name is Cameo Bobo. I'm originally from Jackson, Tennessee, came to the Middle Tennessee area to attend Middle Tennessee State University. After I graduated from Middle Tennessee State University, I stayed in the Middle Tennessee area, and now I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I am a serial entrepreneur. I own several different businesses, but I have recently become a self-published author, and I'm so excited about my new book called The Best Life Formula: How to Achieve Your Goals, Give Your Goals 100%, and Live Your Best Life.
Well, I'm excited for you, Cameo. And so what I'd like to do is first start off by asking you, what was the inspiration to write this book?
Okay, so I became a goal coach about 3 years ago, and I started doing workshops, in-person workshops, and from there I started doing one-on-one consultations. But during the pandemic, things shifted, and so I shifted to doing all of my consultations online. And I just realized that if I was going to reach the masses with this message of goal setting, and that it is possible for anyone, no matter your age, your background, where you're from, to actually live your best life, to actually go after your goals, and to actually achieve your goals, I was going to have to format this into some type of different product. And so that's kind of where I decided to start writing my book.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I can tell you, as I said to Cameo earlier, I literally got this book in the mail and read it from cover to cover as soon as I got it in the mail. There's a lot of great information in this book. And one of the things that I picked up very quickly after I read it, and by the way, I do have the workbook as well. One of the things that I did is immediately it reminded me of a project that I had put down a couple of years ago, and I wanted to pick it back up. And this book has helped me set that goal. So what lessons can someone who may not even know where to start setting a goal, or even what a goal looks like, how can they use this book to not only challenge themselves, but to get them started on that path to goal setting?
Oh, I wrote my book with everyone in mind. So I wrote my book with someone in mind that had never heard of a goal or didn't really realize that they were capable of setting goals. I wrote this book for someone who was already achieving goals like yourself and wanted to take their goal setting to another level. And I also wrote this book for people that were achieving goals, feeling really good about what they were, but needed some type of organization around that process to keep those goals handy, because it's important that you review your goals every day. So if you are just starting off, you never really set goals, you can't really say that you achieved anything so far, my book starts you off by defining what a goal is and defining what a goal is not. A goal is to graduate from college. That could be your goal, to obtain a degree. A goal is not to get married, and a goal is not to win a lottery. Those are desires. Those are things that you want to do. Everybody wants to do that, most people, but there is no way you can control that. You can only control things that have to do is internally with you. So for whatever reason that you would like to achieve the goal of earning a bachelor's degree in college, that whatever that reason is needs to be bigger than yourself. So it needs to be so that you can provide for your family on a higher income bracket when you receive your degree. It should be because you feel that you have a high calling in business and you want to understand how the business world works, and you want to be knowledgeable so that you can walk into the business world with more knowledge and more confidence as you pursue the passion that's that's inside of you. So it shouldn't be your goal shouldn't be to impress anyone. Your goal shouldn't be to prove anyone wrong. A lot of people do things that way and they end up being successful, but they realize this isn't really what I wanted to do. I just did this because people told me that I wasn't gonna be able to do it. So it's really important that your why, you figure out what you want to do, and you make sure you have the right why behind it. And then thirdly, you need a plan. So yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need a plan. Absolutely. And so it's interesting when I picked up this book again, and I'll say this 100 times if I need to. I read this book literally from cover to cover the minute I got it. It is an easy read, but it's very powerful, impactful, and there's a lot of knowledge packed in here. The first thing that I noticed about this was the note to the reader. The first thing that you list here is it possible to live your best life? And that struck me. Is it possible to live your best life? And so for me, when I start reading a book, it has to capture me within the first 5 pages or I'm going to put it down. But that one line captured me and made me want to continue to read. So what would you say to someone who thinks that, I don't really know if I can live my best life? Is it really possible? Is it possible, Cameo?
It is possible to live your best life, but let me first define what living your best life is. Living your best life isn't traveling to wonderful Italy and Rome and Egypt. Living your best life isn't driving the best car. Living your best life isn't making 6 figures and doing whatever you want to do. Living your best life is consistently going after the goals that God has placed inside of you. Those little callings that never leave, those little desires that you just don't act on, or you start on and you don't finish. It's about going after those things inside of you, because I really believe that God has placed those desires inside of you to help you move towards your purpose in life. It could be as little as, calling a friend for advice. It could be as little as volunteering. You never know what the little desires that you have inside of you will actually lead to. And I know that you yourself and myself can give many stories of how we just tried something out by faith. We just had a desire. I'm sure this began as a desire that you wanted to communicate with your fellow colleagues. You wanted to tell other stories, and you began a blog, and now you have coffee and conversations, and no telling where this is going to go. But this all began with some type of desire within that then you turned into a goal, and then you started walking out. So it is possible to live your best life, because your best life is actually going after the things that you desire and want.
And that is a great segue to the next thing that I have for you. So one of the things that you desired was to be on a billboard in New York. And so I was so glad to see that you actually included that in your book. Do you want to share about that experience?
Sure, I love to. A couple of years back, during the Obama administration, I wanted to take my son to Washington, D.C. to see the White House and just experience Washington, D.C. while Obama was still in the presidency. So we went to D.C. Once we got there, I realized that New York was only a short bus ride away. So one day we decided that we were going to get tickets, and we rode the bus over to New York. The bus dropped us off in the middle of Times Square. So, it's lights, camera, actions, the big billboards, all the people, all the buildings. My favorite store at that time was the H&M retail store. So that's in the middle of Times Square. So we went into the store, and as we were shopping, my son came up to me and he said, "Mom, did you see the billboard, the big sign that says, if you walk our runway, we'll put you on the billboard?" And I was like, "What? No." And I went on shopping. And so as we were walking out the store, he said, "Mom, did you see the sign? It says if you walk the runway, they'll put you on their billboard outside." So I said, "What sign?" And he pointed up to the 3rd floor of H&M, and there the sign was huge. And so before I could finish reading the sign, I was running up the stairs. And I have a background in fashion merchandising. That's what I went to college for. That's what my degree is in. And I also have a background in modeling and fashion styling. So this was right up my alley. So I ran up the stairs. There was a DJ, lights, camera, action. I asked him what to do. He told me fill out the iPad, walk the runway. If we like you, we'll put you on the billboard. And I was like, okay. So I walked the runway, gave it my all. Within about 30 minutes, I got an email saying what time the walk was going to be on their outside billboard. So at that time, my son and I were standing across the street from H&M. I had my camera in hand, and I got to see myself walk on the runway in the middle of Times Square. And I don't mention this in the book, but that aired for at least, we were down in the area for about 3 hours, and it constantly played over and over and over and over. And I was like, okay, dreams come true in New York City. Okay. So how does that connect to goal setting? Well, every year I write down my goals for the year. And at the beginning of that year, one of my goals was to take my clothing line from, which stands for Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, to the next level. I wanted to get more exposure. And so I was trying to think of ways to do that. And it came to my mind that I needed a billboard on Times Square. And I thought, how much would that cost? And something just said, write it down. And so how much did it cost? It was absolutely free. It took me having the boldness and the courage to act it out. It took me to following the desire to take my son to DC, and then following the desire to take my son to New York. Because I could have not gone to DC, right? And then I could have not taken that bus trip to New York. And then I could have not paid attention to my son. And so because I followed all of those things within me, I was able to now have a actual video of me walking the billboard on a billboard in Times Square, New York. So that's that story.
That is amazing. And check that one off. So there you go.
Yes, bucket list, check.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so now you make me think about, writing goals down. Absolutely. I think it's something that you should definitely do, because I always go back to what isn't measured isn't managed. And it's the same thing with goals. If you don't write them down, they seem to get lost in Never Land, and they don't get completed. So let's talk about what's the difference between writing down your goals and a vision board.
Okay. So what I think a person should do is write your goals down, because I believe there is a connection between writing and the brain. I think it's just something that I'll have to actually do research to prove that. But I really think there is power in your brain and hand connecting together and writing down a goal. Mm-hmm. I also think there is power in visualization. Now, when you create a vision board, you are, in my opinion, taking the thoughts and the goals that you have, the visions that you have for your life, and you're finding pictures and connecting them and putting them on some type of poster board, or however you want to do this vision board. I believe vision boards are great, but I believe that there is a additional accountability in actually writing your goals down. Mm-hmm. I believe it just does something and holds you accountable when you are writing this down. You are thinking this through. I think some people use vision boards more as a dream board, something that they fantasize about. But I believe when you write your goals down, something inside of you says, I might have to be accountable to this. This might be something that I have to do, or your mind may remind you of it differently and bring you to it differently. And then you'll have to, of course, take action. But that's what I think the difference is.
And you make a very valid point, because I think, a vision board is great to, envision what you might want to do. My goal, goal and vision is to one day go to Paris.
Okay.
Spend at least a month in Paris, eating, drinking,
yes,
enjoying the beautiful scenery. That's one of the things that I want to do. That's a vision. So mm-hmm. That leads me to your workbook. And when you talk about writing your goals down and making them happen in that manner, that makes perfect sense to me, because as I started going through the workbook, you have a page in here that allows people to create their action plan related to that goal that they've set. And it does hold you accountable. Once you start writing these things down, you're like, oh, well. And actually, you know what I did? I wrote mine in pencil so that I could
go back and
make some adjustments if need be.
That was smart.
Yeah, make some adjustments if need be. But this workbook is very, maybe intense is not the word, but it is it's amazing when I started looking through it because it's filled with everything that you need to make sure that you are not only writing your goals down, but creating that path to accomplishing your goals. And so when we talk about that, one of the things you talked about in your book is the fear factor, basically.
Yeah.
And that has, I think, been one of the things that will keep and has kept people from even writing their goals down or even attempting to accomplish their goals. So talk about what that looks like when you're writing your goals down. What are the fear factors that you've experienced?
Oh, it just depends. You will have so many different type of fears. Some people have a fear of knowledge. They feel like they don't have enough knowledge to go after their goal. Some people have the fear of success. They feel like if they achieve their goal, they don't want the attention that comes with the success of achieving your goal. Some people feel as though they're just not ready. I don't know why, they just feel like they're not ready or it's not for them. But I want to tell you guys, fear isn't real. Fear is something that you make up in your head to stop you from achieving your goal. That's just really what it is. And what I've learned on the other side of every one of my fears is everything that I want. Every one of my fears is everything that I want. And you can listen to someone all day long talk about why they don't want to go after something or what they don't want to do, and you can hear the fear, and you know that that person is capable, and you know that if they go after their dreams or if they hop over that fear, that they'll have exactly what they want. But when it comes to yourself, it's a little different, because it's difficult to realize what's going on in your thought process, to realize that what's going on in your thought process isn't actually reality. Our brain functions at a high level. And just because we think it doesn't mean that it's actually reality yet. But our brain has the capacity to make us believe that what it thinks is actually real. And so that's why it's important. I talk about mindset in the book. It's important that you really work on your mindset. It's really important that you say positive things to yourself, that you speak positively to yourself. And I tell a lot of people a lot of times, if you're struggling with your goal setting, if you're struggling with fear, I encourage you to do some self-healing. There's something going on inside of you. There's something that has happened that you need to renew your mind concerning. You need to get a different perspective about those things. Whatever it is, there's something going on inside that you need to tackle so that you can actually move forward. And if there's nothing wrong and you're just scared, do it afraid. Okay, just do it afraid, because it's gonna be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing it afraid is what I live by. One of the things that I've learned is, for me, when I walk outside of my comfort zone, I'm learning. I'm challenging myself. And if I get to a place where it's like, yeah, I don't think that's where I want to go, that's just fear talking. And you talk about that in several different ways in your book, which is really, really good. You hit on, let me just say, I felt like as I was reading these pages, you were writing this book specifically for me. When you talk about three things that stood out to me: guilt, self-condemnation, I'm going to get this out, guilt, self-condemnation, and fear. It's all around that. Those are the three factors, I think, that are a big part of your hesitancy, or our hesitancies, to step out on that faith. But what I've learned is, when I walk in faith, when I believe that I'm going to reach that goal, it's a lot easier for me. And so what would you say to our audience today and to your amazing fans, because I know that that number keeps climbing. What would you say to your amazing fans about stepping out on faith, taking on that next challenge, and even growing through that challenge?
I want what keeps me going, and I encourage my fans, your followers, and anyone that ever watches this video to consider taking on this mindset. Become more afraid of what your life will look like if you don't achieve your goals. Anytime that I am walking in self-condemnation, in guilt or fear, I think, you know what, Cameo? What if you don't move forward? And that is I'm more afraid of what that looks like than going forward. because I know I have a history of understanding. I see the track record that every time I push myself forward, the good things happen on the other side. And every time that I've stayed stagnant, nothing, I won't say nothing has good has happened, but nothing, I haven't evolved. And I think it's important that we all continue to evolve into who we're going to become, because we're going to be so many, we're going to find out that we have so many different layers to ourselves, and just us continuing to evolve along the way will just show us that we are just a magnificent person and human being in creation. And we have so much to offer each and every person. So I would encourage someone to just get to the point where you don't spend a lot of time in guilt, self-condemnation, and fear. Those feelings are going to happen. But as soon as they happen, as you see yourself, beating yourself up, thinking, man, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. We have the power to turn anything that has happened to us into a success story. Because think about all of the people that have had so many failures. They're now successful now. And they'll say, well, that worked out. And I ended up meeting this person. And then this happened. And it all still came together. So just know that no matter what you've done, how you feel, what fear you're dealing with, success can still happen for you, and it's still for you no matter what. You just don't worry about defining what it looks like. Don't worry about defining what it looks like or the timing upon it happening. Just know that it's for you. That's what I was saying.
You know what? We can just drop the mic at that point right there. So one of the things that, so my word for 2021, coming out of this crazy, well, we're still in this pandemic, but getting to the other side of it.
Right.
My word for 2021 is pivot. And because of everything that has happened in the last, year or so, I've had to pivot in a lot of different directions. This is an example of that pivoting because I could not meet with people in person. And I love being in the community. I love meeting with and talking to people. So I had to figure out a different way to be able to be present. And doing this live virtual event was one of those ways. And so how have you pivoted in this new normal that we are experiencing? You are an incredible author, because I'm a fan. You are a goal-setting queen. You are a serial entrepreneur. So how have you had to pivot to make sure that you continue to move forward?
Oh, wow. Okay. So 2 years prior, my goal was to connect myself with like-minded people who were achieving goals, giving their goals 100%, and living their best life. And so I was achieving that goal by going to networking events, going to banquets, whatever I could do to meet people, scheduling meetings like yourself to meet and talk to new people, going out to lunch. But as the pandemic hit, all of that crashed, right? And so what I ended up doing was people started building online communities, and I started joining these online communities. And because of the online communities that I've joined, one is called the 6 a.m. accountability call. I get up every morning at 5 a.m. and join an accountability call with like-minded entrepreneurs from different parts of the country. And I also am a part of this membership called Epic Fab Girl. It's a Christian entrepreneurship community for women. And because of those two communities, it opened me up to the door of Zoom and meeting people and connecting with people that I've never actually met, but just had virtual conversations within social media conversations. And so those friendships and relationships have connected me with other people. And I'm just ecstatic that I have been able to actually reach my goal, because I really wanted to connect with people outside of Nashville. And that was really hard to figure out if I didn't go to a conference or I didn't get invited to something. It was just hard to reach outside of my area. And with those connections, I've been able to begin to do that. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next thing that I thought about. Your friend and mine, Visha, she shared some posts, a few posts on her social media pages, and she referred to them as pandemic pearls. And I absolutely love that, because I started thinking about that, and there have been so many pandemic pearls that have come out of this. And this is one of them. To your point, you've been able to connect with a larger group of people outside of the city, outside of the state, because of
Yes.
this pandemic. So I don't want people to think that, oh my gosh, we're still in this pandemic. It's just the worst in the world. There have been some really positive, amazing things that have happened. This conversation is one of them. The fact that this conversation will be posted for anyone to see, that's a
Yes.
pandemic pearl. The
Yes.
fact that we have all challenged ourselves in different ways, I think that's a pandemic pearl. And the fact that I have gained a lot of new friends, virtually speaking, that's
Yes.
a pandemic pearl. So I agree with you. And again, that's why my word for 2021 is pivot, because I'm learning new and different ways to do just that.
I
So,
love it.
but I love everything about this conversation, but I do have a question for you. And I know you did self-publishing of your book. Is that correct?
Yes. I did.
What is, for those who are interested in writing, who want to follow that lead, why did you choose self-publishing over going with a publishing house?
Um, after I did a lot of research on that. And so I just realized that publishing houses usually push more well-known authors than they push the unknown authors.
Mhm.
And I just figured that I would take my book, push it to my full capacity, build a buzz around it, build what I felt would be helpful in a case when I go to a publishing house, because I always can revise my book and take it to a publishing house. I also wanted to have 100% profit of my book, to just be honest. That's why right now I'm only selling the ebook and the physical books on my website at cameobobo.com. Just go to cameobobo.com, click the link that says buy my book. And that's why I'm not selling through Amazon or any other vendors right now. I've sold over 250 books, and I'm really excited and grateful for that. But I want to sell a little bit more books before I go to those other platforms, because I put a lot into my book, and self-publishing wasn't a hard process, but it wasn't an easy process, because I had to feel through all of the information to figure out what information would work for me and what was the correct way. I would tell anyone, if you are interested in publishing through Amazon, be mindful that you need to purchase your own ISBN number in order to own full rights of your book. Amazon offers a free ISBN number, which is like your social security card for your book. Social security number for your book. But when they provide the number for you for free, it keeps you on their platform. You cannot post to Borders or any other platform. So just little things like that to know. It's great to be on Amazon, but it's just, whatever works for you. But that's the route that I chose. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. I love that you're offering that knowledge, because you have experienced this. And so there are some people in this space that may be thinking, well, how do I even get started? So I love that you've done the research. I love that you're willing to share those pearls.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so I had like 500 other questions bubbling up in my head, but I want to be mindful of your time and respectful of your time. So what would you like to share with this audience, your fans, on next steps? What's coming up next for you? And oh, by the way, thank you for sharing your website information, and I would love for you to share again before we get off. But
Okay.
what would you like to leave the audience with today?
Okay. If you haven't read my book, or if you are wanting to read my book, I'm starting a book club. So you can go to my website, cameobobo.com, click on the About link, and then you will see. No, I think you click on my book, and then you will click on book club. So this book club is going to be for three sessions, and we'll read my book. We'll go through homework, and you'll just get to hear more of me talking about the background of my book and the book writing process. So definitely join me on that journey. Follow me on Instagram at princess_cameo. And follow me on all other social medias. Just look up Cameo Bobo. And what the word is I would like to leave with you guys is, you are powerful. You are powerful. Don't let anyone tell you differently. And if anyone has ever told you that you are not powerful, that you're worthless, that you're not capable, it's only because they knew that you were. and they were trying to stop you. That's the only reason they told you. It was no truth in what they said. They were trying to keep you from the truth. You are powerful. You can do it. You are smart enough. You are capable enough. Do not bully your own self in your head with negative self-talk. Ignore all negativity and go after your goals. That's what I would say.
I
Okay.
absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And I can't think of a better way to start a Saturday morning. And so
Yes.
I thank you, Cameo Bobo, from the bottom of my heart, not only for being an amazing young woman,
Thank
but
you.
writing an amazing piece of literature and being
Thank
my
you.
dear friend. I'm
Yes.
so grateful to have you with us this morning, and I wish you continued success. Ladies and gentlemen, you've already heard, if you want to order this book, and I tell you, you will not, this is money well spent. Go to cameobobo.com, order this book today. Don't forget to get the workbook to go along with it, and start charting your goals, start getting those goals in place. And you will see probably within the next 6 months that you will have a life-changing experience. This is, in fact, the best life formula. So I suggest that you go out, order your books today. And I thank you once again for joining us for Coffee and Conversations with Cheryl. We will be back in a couple of weeks with a new guest that you will not want to miss out on. It is my goal to bring information and to provide opportunities for individuals in the community and around the country, just give you some information that is helpful to you. And I do appreciate you listening today. And I once again, thank my guest, Cameo Bobo, because she's just amazing. And I am so
Thank
grateful to
you.
have her here. Thank you so much, Cameo, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And until next time, we will see you on Coffee and Conversations with Cheryl. Bye now.